Hello, welcome back. Thanks for joining me. I hope you're doing well. There's so many summer fragrance releases coming out this year, it's difficult to keep up. In this video, I'm talking about the latest summer release from Dolce Gabbana. It's Light Blue Italian Love. Stay tuned. This year from Dolce Gabbana, their summer release is called Italian Love. Last year we had Light Blue Forever. And before I get into talking about this one, I just want to backtrack a little bit, just a little bit, on my thoughts on Light Blue Forever. When I first tried this, I criticised it a little bit for not being interesting enough, not having enough performance. I got a massive blast of amazing grapefruit, one of the most natural smelling fruity smells I've ever smelled in a fragrance. I don't know if it's aroma chemicals, I don't know if it's actually natural grapefruit, doesn't really matter. It smelled amazing, it smelled super natural. I was blown away by the opening of this. Unfortunately, on my skin, this one faded away pretty quickly, and the dry down, which became a skin scent after an hour or so, wasn't particularly interesting to me, so I didn't really wear this fragrance that much after the 2 weeks of testing this initially. Now, when I wore this the other day in preparation for reviewing the new Italian Love, I was pleasantly surprised because I had a slightly different experience to when I first talked about this around a year ago. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I bought this on the day of release, literally the day it was released, and I wore it for a couple of weeks. I don't know if it had macerated before it was on the shelves where I bought it. I don't know if things have maybe settled down and stabilized a little bit while it's been sat on my shelf for the last year, but this one was better in the performance. I was getting pleasant wafts of this for longer than I was initially, and this ties in with what a few people had said to me about Light Blue Forever, that, you know, they said they had a decent experience, they thought the performance was okay with this. I still think the dry down of this could be a little more interesting because it sort of starts grapefruit and then just finishes as a slightly more faded away grapefruit. But I did enjoy it more than when I initially bought this one and reviewed it. And that makes me wonder whether, as reviewers, perhaps when we've reviewed a fragrance and we buy it on the day of release and we start wearing it immediately, should we revisit fragrances 6 months down the line, a year down the line? Perhaps maceration happens a little bit in the bottle, I don't know. But anyway, I enjoyed this more than when I initially reviewed it, so I am backtracking on that slightly because I think this has changed in that time. Now, we need to talk about this fragrance first, because before I get into Italian Love, I'm just gonna say it's kind of the same as Light Blue Forever. I was shocked at how similar it is. There are a few minor differences which I'm going to go into in this review, and those minor differences do mean that I actually like this one more than I do with Forever. So I'm going to get into this fragrance, I'm going to break it down for you, but before we do that, let's look at the bottle and the notes. The notes are very similar to Light Blue Forever. There's grapefruits and bergamot, ozonic notes, violet leaf, green notes, cashmeran, vetiver, musk, gaiac wood and patchouli. So what do you think of the presentation of this one? Do you like it? I really like it. I loved the presentation on Forever. I think that was one of the best things about this fragrance, actually. I love the gold accenting on the neck of the bottle and with the writing. I love the colour of that blue. I just think it's a stunning looking bottle. I do like Italian Love as well. They've stuck with the same bottle design as Light Blue Forever as opposed to Light Blue O Intense, and I do prefer this design, so I'm glad they've stuck with that. Box is pretty cool. I'll just give you a close-up of that. So we've got blue and white, so very summery vibes. That's all I'm going to say about the presentation because a lot of people don't care. I'm not massively bothered about the presentation, it's what's inside the bottle that counts. I was shocked, I tell you, at how similar to Light Blue Forever this one smells. This was obviously a good seller for Dolce & Gabbana because they've decided to not deviate far from this DNA. And when I say far, I mean like hardly deviate at all. It is so similar, which means in the opening of Italian Love, you get that beautiful, very realistic, gorgeous, natural grapefruit. It smells very, very similar in the opening. To really get into it in micro detail, to highlight the small differences that these two fragrances have, I would say that Italian Love, it's not quite as tart. It's not got that bitterness that the grapefruit in this one has. It's still got a lovely natural feel, but it's just a little more rounded, a little sweeter perhaps, a little warmer, and I really like it for that because you get the juicy grapefruit, you get everything that's good about the grapefruit, but it's just a little more rounded in the opening, which I think perhaps just suits my tastes a little bit more. If you love fragrance as much as I do, head over to my online store luxparfum.co.uk. You'll find my favourite brands plus brands you can't find anywhere else in the UK. Link is in the description. Something else that I prefer about this is I feel this ozonic, salty, marine-like quality, which I love so much in Oh Intense. I think that is dialed up just a little bit more in Italian Love than it was in Forever. I didn't really get that very much at all in Forever, but I feel they're leaning into this ozonic saltiness more, which I think is great, and that's something I really love in a summer fragrance. This fragrance just started off with all the grapefruit, big grapefruit, and then just faded away to just a sort of more faint grapefruit. With this one, you get the big grapefruit in the beginning, you get that amazing opening, and then you've got that sea saltiness just sort of hanging around in the background a bit, but as it dries down, the grapefruit fades and the ozonic salty quality just comes a little bit more to the fore as things just start to stabilize and balance a little bit more. So into the mid and into the dry down, you get this beautiful balance of the ozonic saltiness with the grapefruit. So I think it is a better balanced fragrance. I think it's got a better development because it's not as linear for me as Light Blue Forever. I would say, just to give you some idea of my experience with it, this one seems to be a mix of all the best things of these two, of Oh Intense and Light Blue Forever, which is a good thing. It definitely leans more into smelling like this one, particularly in the opening, but just a little bit of Oh Intense sprinkled in there as well, which is great. Overall, I'm really enjoying it. I think it's a great release from Dolce Gabbana. Let's get into a little bit of FRAG-MENTAL. So the performance on this one, is it better than Forever? Because I didn't have a great experience with Forever, although latterly I did get better performance. Well, on the day of release, straight out of the bottle, this one does have, for me, a little bit better performance than Light Blue Forever, which is a good thing. So maybe over time the performance of this in 6 months or so will get even better. I would say I'm getting 2 to 3 hours of a reasonable projection for a fresh summer scent, and then it's staying as a skin scent, which is still detectable, still little wafts just firing off here and there. And I'd say I'm getting around about 6 hours where I can smell this fragrance, which for a fragrance of this type I think is perfectly good. Absolutely anyone can wear this fragrance. It's just a fresh, summery scent. It's absolutely unisex. I think any age of person could wear this fragrance. I think you could be super young or you could be really old, and it just works. It's just one of those DNAs that doesn't lean towards a certain sex or a certain age. It's just going to work for everyone, and I think it would work best as a summertime casual daytime scent. You could absolutely wear this in the evening and I think it would work really nicely. But for me, this is just one of those lovely, fresh, refreshing, invigorating, crisp fragrances that I prefer to wear on a nice, warm, sunny day, and I think it does that job perfectly. The other good thing about this fragrance is the price. So Light Blue Forever, which is an EDP, was quite a bit more expensive than this one. This is only an EDT concentration, which is very interesting because it doesn't really seem to make any difference to the performance, to the projection, to the longevity. EDT, EDP, it doesn't really make much of a difference in my opinion when it comes to these fragrances. So the cost on this 100ml EDT, which I purchased from the perfume shop, which I believe have UK exclusivity for a little while, this was just £65 for 100ml, and that is a very reasonably priced fragrance, bearing in mind that in terms of the smell and the performance, it's better than the more expensive EDP. So I would say Dolce & Gabbana, let's just keep going with the EDTs and let's keep those prices low, because the EDTs are great, especially for a fresh summer fragrance. The EDT works just fine. So overall, you may have guessed that I do prefer this to Light Blue Forever. I talk about how much I love Oh Intense, and I'm going to say I probably enjoy Italian Love equally as much as Oh Intense. So that is a really good thing because this is one of my go-to summer staples. So I think Dolce & Gabbana have done really well with this fragrance. They've released it at a very reasonable price point. My wife smelled these two side by side. She didn't know which was which, and her preference was for this one as well. And I think it's just that extra little bit of depth. I keep going on about this ozonic saltiness. This one does have gaiac wood, so perhaps that's just giving it a little more texture, a little more depth, and perhaps just a touch more gravitas. I would say if you already own Light Blue Forever, as much as I'm saying I prefer this one, I don't think the differences are enough for you to own both. I think that this one is a little bit redundant if you already own and enjoy Light Blue Forever. If you collect them and you want all the bottles and you're happy to buy something based on very sort of small differences, then go for it, because I think you really enjoy this fragrance. If you enjoy this, you will certainly enjoy this one. But if you already own this one, I wouldn't say you've got to rush out and buy Italian Love because they are so similar. Italian Love gets a thumbs up from me. If you're looking for a new summer fragrance and you don't already own Light Blue Forever, you're not going to go far wrong with this one. Okay, that's it from me. If you've tried this already, please let me know what you think. I would love to hear your thoughts. I'm feeling pretty positive about this one, but drop some comments down below. Let's have a conversation about it. Hit the like button if you liked this video and you found it useful. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you do all that, I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.